Good afternoon, everyone. This is Naishad Gadani coming to you from Melbourne. And today is 179th show of Career Care Package. And on today's show, we are talking about career pivot. We are talking about what can you do next year that will propel your career, that you can also learn from 2020 also. I think, as I've stated on my LinkedIn post as well, this has been a year that has compelled us to do things that we were not ready for. We have all experienced some or the other form of setback failures. It's an opportunity for us to think back, reflect on that, and move on with a bit more diligence, a bit more preparedness, so to say, in 2021. And specifically around careers, I think this has been very uncertain year. We've seen dramatic lose. The industries has also been impacted, and so too the jobs and livelihood of thousands of people in Australia and millions of people all across the world. So to help us make sense of that, just from the Australian context, we have invited Sandy Hutchison. She's the founder and CEO of Career Money Life. It's a company. And she is also a recipient of a CDAA's Victorian Excellence Award for her path-breaking work, in career transition and using technology to help people. But before we start to speak to Sandy, let's welcome Caroline Brown.
Thanks, Nash, and it's fantastic to be here. And I guess it's the first day of summer, a bit of spring in the step and a bit of optimism. And I was just thinking about how disruptive COVID has been. And we've seen a lot of people on this show actually make some fantastic connections and fantastic changes just from participating in this. So it really has been a transformative year. But yeah, really delighted to have you join us here today, Sandy.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a real pleasure to be here. And that's a huge achievement in terms of the number of sessions you guys have done. That's commitment.
It's been a fun commitment, and Nash and I sort of started this with an idea of we just wanted to help people, but then it's turned into a networking thing for us, a networking thing for the audience, and hopefully a lot of value that will remain as well. Yeah, so I guess a great place to start would be perhaps tell people about Career Money Life. It sounds like you've got all bases ticked off with the platform and the business.
Thanks. Yeah, look, it's, I guess from inception, Career Money Life was about recognizing that when someone's going through something like career transition, it's not just about career. It's not just I need to find a new job. That decision is so intertwined with your money because you don't have as much, and what job you're getting, and the choices between the types of work you do and the salaries associated with that, and then also your whole life. So your health, your well-being, how much stress you want to take on, the impacts on family, career choices. So it's a ball of wool. It's all intertwined. And you can't just think about careers in isolation. So from inception, Career Money Life was really about how do we create a holistic model that actually addresses all the needs of a person when they're going through a major life change. And as we know, career transition is one of the most stressful big life changes, has lots of implications for people, and particularly when it's not something that you're controlling and you're driving. If you choose to change jobs, if you choose to take some time off, but when you wake up one morning and you go to work like any other day and you come home with that little cardboard box, that's not what you planned. It can be pretty confronting. And so our role is really to work and help people. And we do that through a platform where we have a whole range of service providers that people can choose from. So it's very much about enabling them to have an experience that's suited to what they're doing, but also not presuming that everyone is just finding another job. And I think that's more true now than ever. People are looking at reskilling, they're looking at career breaks, they're looking at total career changes, starting businesses as well. And so we try to accommodate all of those scenarios and transitioning to retirement.
So what are you seeing? Are you seeing any trends of what people are doing or transitioning to during COVID, like the first thing people might be tackling in that kind of realm of things that you offer?
Yeah, a few trends. So we talked to a lot of people about a for now job rather than a forever job. And we're seeing a lot of people just looking for a for now job. We do the career transition work for Virgin. So we've had thousands of their employees come on. The whole industry's been devastated. You've got pilots that, it's not that obvious where you go for your next job when you're a pilot. And so how do I find a way to pay the bills and stay busy and stay useful? And so for them, and some of them, and it's even been, packing shelves at Coles during the height of the pandemic, it's a for now job and being okay with that. So that's one of the trends we're seeing. The other one is there's definitely more interest in people starting their own businesses. So there's a lot of work in that space in terms of, everything from a little gig on the side of selling stuff on Etsy to, a fully funded opportunity with, startup and that sort of thing and everything in between.
Wow. Yeah. It certainly has been a transformative time. I mean, I'm just reflecting on friends of mine that have taken jobs as delivery drivers, friends of mine that have not known that there are redundancies on the cards, but not expecting that for themselves, and suddenly finding themselves unemployed in the middle of a pandemic. What do you think are good sort of coping strategies? What have you seen that people from say a mental health point of view that people have been taking up?
Yeah, look, we certainly offer psychological counseling, and one of the things that we always do is if companies, and many do, and some people don't realize this, when you've been made redundant, usually the EAP, so the counseling service provided by your company, will continue for maybe another 3 months. So if that's something you need, you can still access that, and we always ensure that we have those details on our site, because once you leave the company, often you don't have access to that anymore, and you might not want to call HR and ask them. So accessing and reaching out to mental health support, whether it's through the EAP or through just your GP, is really important. But I think even before that, we've been running a lot of webinars with people around, how to have resilience, how to manage through change, understanding, the circles of influence, circles of control. What can I control? What I can choose how I respond, even if I can't control the circumstances that there's a global pandemic and I've lost my job. But I can choose how I respond to that, and I can choose, and having a sense of being able to control what I can help people with that. We've also run, one of our fabulous providers ran free yoga. So we were doing free online yoga for people to, just have some downtime, just, get the busyness in the brain to stop and have some time for yourself. And I think that's really critical. We talk about career search and career transition as thinking about it like a full-time job. We give people tools and resources to help them kind of manage it like a job, but you also need to have time out, because I think if you're constantly in that mindset of anytime you're doing anything fun, you're feeling guilty because you're not doing your job search, that's not going to help you. You need to set goals for the week, structure your time. So I'm going to do this for 2 hours, and then I'm going to go have a break. It's a nice day. I'm going to walk the dog. I'm going to do something, and have that balance in your life, because it's a long haul and it's hard to sustain without having some sort of balance and managing, your life and your career.
Makes absolute sense.
Great. And if you got questions for Sandy, please drop that in the live feed, and we will take that up to Sandy. Sandy, you also, will also be approached by employers, or work closely with employers. What are some of the trends that you see also from the employer point of views also? Are they short-circuiting the hiring process? Are they reimagining hiring process? What are some of the interesting trends that you've seen from employer
point of view? Yeah, look, it's really interesting. I think it's been, in spite of everything that's happened this year, I think it is the year of HR, because HR people have just proven their worth again and again this year. It's been so challenging, to think about standing down your whole workforce and moving everyone to online. And in the talent space, companies are either so busy because they're in a COVID supporting role, or they're trying to manage a workforce that's stood down. And so the normal boundaries around talent are just all over the place. So really want to congratulate the people working in this space, because it's been tricky. But what we're seeing is, this sort of thing where there are these huge demands for talent in some sectors where they don't know how to fill it. We have a program that we call Career Connect, and what we're doing is reaching out to those companies where we know they have high demands, and we're saying we have this talent pool of people that are from amazing companies, fabulous workers, keen to work, ready to go. Let's connect you up and see if we can build a match. So we've been running webinars where the talent teams come on and talk about roles and opportunities. We ran one last week with Australian Unity with one of our clients, and we've had a huge number of people applying for those roles. So it's really just trying to cut out a lot of the in-between bits and just say, here's someone that's looking, here's someone that's got a role, have we got a match? Let's make this happen. Because things need to happen at scale right now, and they need to happen at speed. So we're really trying to facilitate that. We're also seeing at the same time that talent teams are overwhelmed with applications. Mm-hmm. So a job that maybe had 100 applications might have 500 or 1,000. And with that, they're getting people that are applying that have no relevant skills or experience. So they're having to weed through a lot more candidates. And that's really tricky. There has been a real commitment to trying to bring everybody full circle and get back to people and provide feedback. But sometimes with the scale, it's been really challenging for people to do that. So that's something that we're seeing as well, is just the overwhelm of candidates. So I would say to candidates, well, it's good to apply and reach outside your narrow area. You also need to be realistic. If the role requires you to have extensive digital marketing skills and you've got none of that, probably not worth applying, probably not worth wasting your time and theirs. So it's thinking about transferable skills. So I was good at customer service working on a plane. Maybe I could be good at customer service working in a call center for an insurance company. There's a transferable skill set, but when there's not that, sometimes it can just be really demoralizing because you're applying for things you're not ever going to get and you're really wasting your time. You could be spending that time more effectively networking and doing other things to help you get your job.
Were you noticing with the matching process that you're talking about that it was opening up the eyes of employers and job seekers around what they could actually and potentially do with that kind of matching and connection process?
Absolutely. It's we did one with Virgin and Crown. So Crown's opening a new facility in Sydney, and they're hiring 2,000 people. They saw the caliber of Virgin people, the cultural fit, the focus on customer service, and we've had hundreds of people applying from Virgin into Crown. And there was one had been a pilot, and he had applied for one of the sort of bell captain roles, and they actually put him in a much more kind of senior role that they had available. But it's helping people reimagine. Crown has roles where people are dealing with the VIPs and the movie stars and that sort of thing. And it's not that different than working in, say, a first class airline lounge, right? Just understanding how to be discreet, how to manage that type of person, really meeting a very high set of customer expectation needs, all of those things. So, it's trying to reimagine things, and that is happening on both sides. And companies are more flexible about who they're hiring right now, in terms of maybe not having all the demands. I was just reading today, like IBM's moved away from being so rigid about the university degrees and requirements. They're more worried about the right fit, the cultural stuff, whether people have a growth mindset, they're open to learning, they've demonstrated they're keeping up with technology, but it might not be through a degree. It might be through microcredentials, it might be through Coursera or, online learning, that sort of thing. So a lot is shifting at the moment.
What do you think? Oh, sorry, Nash, you look like you're about to ask a question.
No, yeah, I just wanted to pick up on this, the micro skilling or upskilling, because, it's micro credentials are not for everyone.
No.
Right, at the same time, they are specifically designed for a very targeted intervention to take a person from position A to position B and bridging that gap. What are some of the things that a job seeker should be aware of? Because jumping into doing anything which makes it easy doesn't necessarily result into something.
Yeah.
So what are your recommendations on that?
Look, it's so important to think about not just let me get some credentials and badges on my LinkedIn profile, but how are these going to enhance the current skills that I have? So maybe I've been working in a role where I've been doing project management, for instance, but I don't have any credentials. So maybe taking a course to consolidate my learning and credentialize my work experience would be really valuable in terms of my next role in project management. Just taking a bunch of, online courses in how to, code in Django or something may not be that relevant. So it's being really thoughtful about, and it is tricky now because there's so much free, there's so much online, it's so cost effective that you can do a lot of stuff, but you also need to think about the value of your time and what is going to make sense. I think keeping up with digital skills is important. I mean, the World Economic Forum had come out with a recent study, and they were saying that 1 in 2 people will need to reskill, and that about 40% of people's skills right now are out of date or will be out of date, and they will need to at least partially reskill that part of their role. There's a great tool called Will a Computer Take My Job that comes out of the UK. If you just Google Will a Computer Take My Job, and it'll show you by job type the percent of automation that's likely to happen. And that's a great way to think about if you're moving into a new career, make sure it's not something that's going to be redundant in 5 years. So again, it goes back to those credentials. Get credentials that are going to be valuable in 5 years, not in 5 minutes.
That's interesting. Just wanted to track back to what you're sort of saying about IBM and the types of skills that they're looking for. Have you noticed a trend in that with employers in terms of, the agility, the resilience, the problem solving? Have you noticed a trend in what employers are seeking post-COVID?
Yeah, look, I think it's working through the wash right now, because I think what a lot of organizations found is that some of their leadership wasn't suited to managing in a COVID environment. They struggled with not being able to see their employees, having to trust, having to work remotely. And a lot of the skills that you need to do that are about being agile, being resilient, having a kind of leadership style that empowers and enables people rather than is directive. And so many organizations that we've been talking to are now sort of saying, well, how do we build more of this into our systems? How do we make people better at leading change, better at managing? For a lot of companies we've talked to, the idea of having their workforce work from home was just unimaginable in January, and leaders would never have supported it. And people had to get business cases and acceptance to do it. And all of a sudden, overnight, it was happening, whether you liked it or not. And some people really struggle with that. So a lot of organizations are looking at those EQ skills, what people call the soft skills. I call them the career skills. So understanding people, communicating, collaborating, and being able to do that online, which is a level of complexity beyond when you can do it in person with people. So all those skills are really coming into the fore, and I think they're highly, highly transferable, highly desirable skills. So the combination of good career skills, soft skills, combined with recent expertise and skills in areas that are relevant to your career with some digital understanding, because I don't think anyone can function in a work environment now with not a good understanding of basic digital technology and how those are going to influence their work. That combination is really critical to help people kind of plan for their sort of comeback post-COVID.
Absolutely.
And what are some of the things that people should be doing to, let's use this word, future-proof. It's very difficult to predict what would be there, right? But I think people have got a taste of the uncertainty right now. What are some of the things that people should be doing to kind of solid proof their career, moving into 2021 and beyond? What are some of the core things that you can advise people to do?
Well, look, I think if you're out of a job, then some of the things you should be doing right now, and we're sort of heading into the very quiet Christmas, January period. So there's not going to be a lot happening in the job market, except perhaps in some seasonal type roles. So, the downtime is the time where you can work on a couple of things. You can work on, really thinking about what it is you want to do, what motivates you, what is your next career move, and working through quite a deliberate process, because I think it's so important moving forward that if you're passionate about your career, that's really going to show through and it's going to make you stand out. But it's more than just the passion. It's then researching. So researching companies, understanding what their needs are, what's their strategy. There's tons of information from the financial reporting that companies do about what their plans are, what their strategy is, what's their culture. Read the Glassdoor reviews. Really understand and target who you want to work for and why they should hire you, and how you would add value to them. And then do an assessment. What are the gaps? What are the areas that I need that they would want? Maybe spend this time getting skills and expertise in those areas. And maybe that's taking courses. Maybe that's volunteering somewhere that's going to give you a set of expertise and skills that you didn't have, and it's something to talk about when you go to interview. So what have you been doing? Well, actually, I've put my skills to use, and I've been volunteering here, and what they've been teaching me, and I've learned this, which I could then apply to your organization. Really nice way to come out of an interview. So I think those are the things that you can be doing. And the other thing would be networking. For those of us that are now able to get out again, which is most of Australia, yay. Get out and network. People will have time, over this time period. It's not as busy. Ask people to have a catch up, get those coffee catch ups in, do your LinkedIn networking, make sure your LinkedIn profile is really impressive, not just your career history, but your activity, commenting, adding insightful suggestions, supporting what other people are saying, sharing, showing that you're engaged in the platform. It's all really important. But the networking piece, we all know most of the jobs, and in this market especially, come through a network. And again, with the network, it's not just, can I get a job? Can you help me find a job? No one wants that line landed on them, especially not right now. So you've got to be a bit more strategic. I'm really interested in the way that you made a pivot from marketing into IT. I'd really like to understand that transition. Could I catch up and explore that with you? You moved from this industry to that industry. You had there's something really interesting about your career, or you work at a company I've always wanted to work at. Could I get some time to learn more about, what that company is like? That's deliberate networking, where you go in with a clear sense of what you want to get out of it. You've done your research, you know the background on them, their company, and then you listen for, what can I give back? What does this person want? What do they need? It might be nothing about their job. Maybe it's a referral for something for their kids, or a great restaurant, but find some way of giving back. And that's the important part about an authentic network, rather than just help me find a job, which is iffy.
It's interesting because Naish and I have had one invitation from somebody that we've had on the show and networked with online. There's all these people, these communities that have been engaging online that are now busting out to go and meet
the real world.
So I wanted to ask you a related question really about like the future skills. And, you mentioned that people were starting their own businesses, whether they've been micro businesses or, big ideas and that type of thing. Do you think that we're now really in the age of the portfolio career, where somebody might have a business and a contract and sort of move seamlessly between the two? Are you seeing people adopt that kind of idea?
Yes, we're definitely seeing the whole freelance, gig economy, sidekick, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely a way that people are navigating right now. And part of it's the job for now strategy is to have a couple of both. But also I think people are feeling a vulnerability that, wow, didn't have this on my, 2020 calendar, a global pandemic, massive, disruption of major industries. So I think they're feeling like they need to have more than one string in their bow. The just having the job isn't enough anymore, because it can leave you really vulnerable. We're also seeing a bit of a flight to safer sectors, so people looking to government roles who want security. But in the startup space, it's a tricky one, because starting up a business in this environment is risky, and you need to have the financial backing, and things usually take longer than you plan, and it can be it can be a pretty high risk thing to do. So I think the idea of micro businesses and things on the side, rather than just wholly jumping in to do a business, is a much better way of going. And there's lots of great support in the startup community. We work with Aspire, which is part of the Startup Bootcamp, and they offer a program that's 20 weeks that helps people through all aspects of starting up a business, and really can help you get solid foundations. And that's so important too. So even if you're thinking about a business, there's a lot of skills building that you need to do that, because usually you're good at part of it, but you're not good at the finance part, or you're not good at the sales part, and you don't realize that, I have to actually now go out and sell things to people. That's scary, so it's getting yourself skilled up, or thinking about how you partner, being careful of things like franchises. There's a lot of franchises getting marketed to people right now. I'm not sure that's always the wisest choice. So, do your homework, talk to a financial advisor, talk to someone. It's a big decision.
Absolutely.
So I've got one more question for you, Sandy. Is that what are some of the high demand jobs you think will be in 2021 or beyond that? What are some of the the very high demand, if I've got that skill, I'm bound to have that kind of work? What do you see that those trends?
So they kind of fall into two categories. One is tech. So anyone who has tech skills, so front end, back end, user experience, data mining, people want tech. I had an email today from a company about our Career Connect program, and the first thing they said was, well, we'd be really interested if you've got employees that have tech skills. So that's where people are looking, because this was already on the cards, the future of work, automation, and the pandemic has just escalated it. But that was all happening. Major organizations completely restructuring, and because they've moved online now, they know they can do it. So it's actually going to escalate it even faster. So tech, the other side of it is the opposite of tech. So it's the caring sector. So aged care. Australian Unity, who we're working with, I think they have something like 1,000 positions vacant across the country that they're struggling to fill.
Wow.
Healthcare. And not necessarily, the high-end kind of nursing roles, but things in sterilization and things in visitor management, and the support services around healthcare, because of increased demand, is going to continue to increase. Areas around mental health, mental well-being, resilience, psychology. If you look at will a computer take my job? One of the least likely jobs to be taken over by a computer is a psychologist. The other one is an HR director, so yay for our HR firms. But a psychologist. And, there's a massive increase in demand for psychology. There's huge waiting lists through the public health system at the moment. So, studying psychology or related allied health, mental health, big area.
Suddenly gone silent.
Excellent.
Sorry, I thought you were going to jump in there, Nash.
No. Have you got a question, KB?
I suppose one of the things that might be interesting to talk about, Sandy, is I know that you were in the corporate world and you started your business, which might be interesting for people who are watching this. And so what were some of the things that you thought about, or when you were transitioning, what gave you the courage to go from corporate to starting Career Money Life?
Good question, whether it was courage or something else. So I was an HR director for Marsh McLennan, which is the parent company of Mercer, and I'd been a partner at Mercer for a long time. So big career in the corporate sector, and we went through a restructure, and my role got made redundant, and I left. And it was really, really hard for me, because I'm originally from Canada. I moved to Australia and I joined Mercer within 6 weeks, and I was there 16 years. So it's the only company I'd ever worked for here. It was my family. And, it took me probably 2 years to stop saying we when I mentioned the company name, and I had an incredible career there. So it's it was, I guess, though, in that process, I started to talk to a lot of people who'd been made redundant. And having been in HR, I'd been on the other side of it quite a lot as well. And it just sort of came to me that, there was an opportunity to actually make this a much better experience for people. And that was really, for me, the passion that led me to build the business. But it's really scary, to be honest, running a business. The financial side, building it out. But also you have no one to blame but yourself when things go wrong. You can't blame the tech department or sales or anyone else. It's also can be really lonely because particularly when you've been in a big company and you don't have that support and those connections, and you have to kind of go out and recreate all of that. And so while it's it's exciting and it's I always joke, when you run your own business, you get to choose which 18 hours of the day you work. Because people sometimes think it's a lifestyle choice, and it is in the sense that I can pop out and go pick up my kids when I need to. But it's not a lifestyle choice in the sense of, I'm working 4 hours a day. So I think you need to be really realistic, particularly in the early years, and you need to really have a passion behind your business to sustain you. Because it is hard. And I think it's important that people understand that, because there's a lot of hype around the Shark Tank and the glamour of you do it and go out and start that business. And that's fantastic. But you also need to have a practical side as well, that it may be a while before you make any money. And are you okay with that? And how are you going to manage? And, so I think sometimes those more careful options of depending on your financial circumstances of trying things on the side, maybe till you get it up and running. Because usually there's a bit of a lead up time. But look, it's great. And the startup sector is one of the big new job growth. So that's another area. If you're looking for jobs, don't just think about all the AXS listed companies. Go to things like Startup Vic and read about all these new startups. You can maybe get in on the ground. The pay might not be as great, but the upside is there, and really exciting, fun cultures. So yeah, don't discount that sector. It doesn't have to be you starting a business. It could be you working in a startup.
I always encourage my clients, when we could meet face to face, is go and hang out in the co-working spaces, for example, places to just sit and work and meet people and network and come up with ideas and support other businesses and that type of thing. So well, we offer those as one of the services people can access through the platform. Because it's a much nicer environment to even just network as a job searcher than it is, being home alone. And there's free ones, like if you're a bank and customer with NAB, for instance, you can work out of the village for free and things like that. Or the Institute of Company Directors has really nice lounges that you can use as well. So that's a good place to network if you're looking for sort of senior level roles. So it's different ways of doing it. Yep, fantastic.
Excellent, Sandy. Look, it's been fascinating catching up with you, because I think you've really, given us a lot to think through. And thank you again for joining us, and thank you for being so gracious and also generously sharing your insights as well. So thank you again, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
Oh, look, thank you so much for the invitation. And I guess for anyone out there listening, just hang in there. It is tough right now for job seekers. It will get better, but do what you need to do to take care of yourself, particularly going into this Christmas season. It is, it's a tough time of year on mental health to begin with, even in the best of times. So I think people just need to be kind to themselves and each other, and do what you can to help other people too. If you're lucky enough to be employed, do what you can to see to help other people find work right now, because it's so important for people's mental health. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. It's been fantastic to have you on here. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on LinkedIn, please follow the hashtag Career Care Package. And Naish, who have we got coming up tomorrow?
So tomorrow we have got Vikram Poddar. He's one of India's leading comedian coming and talking about COVID tales. His observations of business and the career in COVID-19 times. So tomorrow would be a very funny, interesting take on COVID-19. So do join us tomorrow 3 p.m. Until then, please stay safe, stay happy, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye for now,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye bye.